how we can know that a chemical change is taking place. So there are a few signs that make it easy to tell, and the first one is the production of a gas. So this happens when two reactants, oops, let me turn my pencil on. Two reactants combine and bubbles can form. And when you see bubbles, that is a sign that it has made or produced carbon dioxide gas. Whoops, sorry about that. And the best example of this that you probably remember from when you were younger is when you combine vinegar and baking soda together to make a model volcano. And when you see those gas bubbles forming, that's how you know that you have a chemical reaction happening. I just want to be clear though that when we're talking about the production of a gas, we're not talking about liquid water starting to boil and turn into water vapor. So when the gas bubbles are made because you're changing the temperature of something, that's a physical change. Boiling is a physical change. But if you have two substances that you combine without changing their temperature for them and they make a gas, that's a sign of a chemical change. Another sign of a chemical change is a change of color. So sometimes this happens when the pH or the acidity of a solution changes, and that can make the color change. So an example of this would be a copper wire, which we know that copper is usually a brown penny type color. And if copper wire is dipped into a silver solution, you get a color change. Another type of sign of a chemical change is when you get a precipitate to form. And if you look at this word precipitate right here, the first part of it sounds like precipitation, right? And precipitation is when we have rain or snow falling from the sky. And so this is going to be the same type of thing. A precipitate is when a insoluble, actually, so the technical definition is when an insoluble compound is formed out of a solution. The easier way to remember it though is when let's change this to a solid compound forms out of a liquid. So there are lots of solutions that you can make where you pour two liquid chemicals together and you will get a solid substance to appear in the bottom of the container. And an example of this would be silver chloride. Okay. I have to erase all of this to keep going with the notes, so if you need to pause it here to catch up on anything, please do so. So we have two more signs of a chemical reaction that we want to talk about. So one is the production of light. So when a substance rapidly combines with oxygen, combustion happens. And combustion is a fancy word for burning. And a flame is produced that gives off thermal energy or heat and light. Another example of production of light, besides like lighting a match, would be when you have a glow necklace or a glow stick and you crack it and the two chemicals combine and they create a glowing, a lit up solution. And then one more is a change in temperature. So this one's a little bit tricky though, because not all temperature changes are chemical changes. So, like we said a few minutes ago, if you have melting, freezing, boiling, those are not chemical changes. When that happens with water, those are physical changes. Two substances that are the same temperatures, when they combine and they cause a change in temperature, that is a sign of a chemical reaction. And an example of that would be if you've ever gotten those hand warmer packets. They sell them a lot in the wintertime. This little plastic pouch about the size of a credit card, and you open it up and it has like a little cloth feeling pouch inside of it. And it has like a rocky substance inside of it. And when that pouch gets exposed to air, the air makes the substance inside warm up so that you can stick it in your pockets or stick them in your boots and you can feel nice and warm. And then another example of this would be if you've ever been playing sports or something where you haven't necessarily been at school where Nurse B can help out. And if somebody gets injured and they need an ice pack, they have plastic pouches that they have like another smaller plastic pouch inside and some other chemicals. And if you hit it in the palm of your hand so that you pop the pouch inside the ice pack and you shake it together, it turns cold. So those are two signs of chemically caused temperature change. But again, when we're talking about melting or freezing or boiling, those ones don't count.